Welcome along to Betting Weekly Premier League show. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright. Nigel, you're across the channel. Bonjour, my friend. How are you?
Bonjour, je m'appelle Nigel. Quel âge as-tu? Quel âge as-tu? Do you know what that means? That's my GCSE maths. Hello, my name's Nigel. I'm 13 years of age. That's all I know. That's all I know.
GCSE maths.
That's different class. You learnt that at 13, and that's as far as it got, wasn't it? That's it.
Yeah, I know a bit of Spanish.
Do you know where hang on? Do you know where the train station is, or the bibliothèque?
Où est la plage?
Où est la bibliothèque?
Dos cervezas, por favor. That's Spanish. That's how you know Spanish. Two beers, please.
You're the wrong side of the border for that one. Nigel, how are you? Obviously, you're on duty for the Champions League show last night as well. That was good fun as well.
It was good. It was a long night, 2 hours, 30 minutes. It was good. We had a lot of nice winners as well. Obviously, it was exclusive to newsletter subscribers, so make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, bettingweeklystudios.com. Yeah, it was good. We got some big winners, but, I mean, the hang-ups for that weekend, I think are going to, from that midweek, are going to come into this weekend for the teams, not only in the Premier League, but across Europe. So it was a high-intensity evening with a lot going, a lot of players losing, a lot of teams losing a lot in those matches, and we might see the knock-on effect. But yeah, it was a tough week last week. I had to get away from the country to get away from them bad beats to get some to try to get away from something. So hopefully this week we get a little bit more Lady Luck that shines on us a little bit more.
Let's hope so. And just picking up what Nigel was saying there, Jack, I mean, in terms of those British teams involved or Premier League teams involved in the Champions League, I mean, are we looking to fade them or just avoid them? It all depends on a case-by-case basis. But look, it was something different. Matchday 8, late into January. It's bound to have an effect at some stage, isn't it, with these teams?
Yeah, there was some very, high intense games. There was some sides that you noticed had rested a lot of their key players, so you just got to be over the team news and then a bit of the game state as well. And of course, we've got the transfer deadline thrown into the mix as well, which is Monday. So lots to take on board and to navigate our way through it. But I'm sure we'll find a way.
Indeed, just a reminder of the boys' profit and loss on screen. We've had a little bit of a dip in recent weeks, but, class is permanent, form is temporary, and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully the boys will be back banging the winners for you. And as we say, we talk through all of the games so you can pick snippets of information out that you think are relevant as well as the plays. Tag us in as well, of course, at Because We Win on Twitter. Our Betting Weekly newsletter is absolutely firing on all cylinders when it comes to the tips that we're bringing you there. bettingweeklystudios.com. Sign up if you haven't already. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give us a like as well. We're inching towards 8,000 now. We'd like to always get your thoughts when it comes to the games over the weekend. Really good community that we're growing, so please get involved. We're going to get involved straight away with the early game here on Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Forest against Brighton. Nottingham Forest are plus 143 here. Brighton plus 185. Now, Nigel, we've talked a lot about Brighton being a bit untrustworthy. I think it was Tim on the comment saying, you've got to back Brighton, and yourself pointed out, and I followed up saying, look, when they're minus money, you leave them alone. But they're plus 185 here to win at Forest. And Forest, off the back of that heavy defeat, might be worth a look. I don't know. How do you see this one? We've got your 2-unit play on this one. I know it's not on the money line, but would you be trusting Forest as favourites here?
Well, I've gone in straight away, gone in nice and early, and that's the strategy after last week's disappointments, to go in nice and early and know your fate early doors rather than prolong the process to the Monday night. So I think this is a difficult one on the money line, and the odds reflect that. Plus 143, Nottingham Forest, marginal favourites. Brighton plus 165, and the draw is plus 225. It's a kind of price that I like Brighton at. I do like Brighton when they're the underdogs. As we said, they let you down so many times at home when they're up against newly promoted sides, when they're heavy minus money favourites. Their record this season has been diabolical. But on the road now, they're unbeaten in their last 6 matches, and they've scored 14 goals. That is a sign of a side that, will thrive playing that counter-attacking football that they play, their high press, and they enjoy playing on the road. Nottingham Forest have been the story of the Premier League in terms of their surprise package. Everyone had them down as a relegation candidate, and now they're on the verge of Champions League football. But for the first time this season now, Nuno comes into a match where he's under a little bit of, not pressure, but they've got to perform on the back of what was a real poor performance last week against Bournemouth in the 5-0 defeat. So it's a difficult, well, not difficult, it's a strange one for them, because for the first time they've got some criticism where the whole season has been about praise. The one thing that you got to look at this here is I just think that Brighton have a goal threat and especially on the road. In 13 matches in all competitions on the road this season, Brighton have scored in 12 of them. They've scored 14 goals in that unbeaten run of 6 matches on the road as well. And Nottingham Forest, we know, have got goals in them, and we know Chris Wood at home at the City Ground is prolific. So I'm looking at goals here. The reverse fixture at Brighton early in the season was a 2-2 draw. 13 road matches there's 13 road matches that this season that Brighton have scored, and in Forest matches that they had 13 at home, they scored in 12. So there's goals. I'm very surprised in a season where total goal and matches we're going to come on to are 3 goals, 3.5 goals, that this match is a traditional 2.5 goal game. Where if you look at Brighton, they are the kings of both teams to score. They are the kings of the overs this season, along with a couple of other teams that we're going to touch a little bit later on. But the line is still a kind of a decent price. 2.5, over 2.5 is -115. I thought this would be like very sort of heavy, -160, maybe over 2.5. I don't really get it. Maybe people are thinking that both of them have had a bad result. Brighton losing at home to Everton and Nottingham Forest losing 5-0, that they may work on the defending. But I do think that Brighton play a little bit more freedom when they're when they're the underdogs. They're the underdogs here. On the road, they play a more expansive match. And I'm looking at over 2.5 goals as my 2U play. So I've gone straight in early, -115. Both teams to score yes is -150. So compare that to 2.5 goals, which is -115. I do like Wood to score. I mean, he's been a hot dog for me so far this season to score first goal. He's +410. And he's +180 to score any time, which I think is a decent bet given the record he has at home. But I'm surprised that the goal line here is 2.5. And, given the fact that Forest have got goals in pretty much every time they take to the pitch at home, and Brighton have scored in 13 road matches this season, and they've scored 14 in their last 6 where they're unbeaten. Straight in, over 2.5 goals, -115, 2U play.
2U play for Nigel, going overs in the Forest-Brighton game, 7:30 Eastern. Jack, you've got a lean on this one, and the lean is with Forest.
Yeah, I just think you're getting them at -0.25, so in essence, half a stake on the money line, half a stake on tie no bet. It's plus money, +107. I just given not Forest a chance. We're all entitled to a bad day, and as you've touched on at the start of the show, I've probably been abusing that privilege over the last couple of weeks. So, I just feel that they can bounce back from it. Nuno said that that result against Bournemouth served as a warning. I'd actually go a game further back, and this supports Nigel's argument for goals in it, because I kind of fancy goals here too, in that they were 3 up against Southampton and conceded 2 goals and very nearly threw that away right at the death with that fantastic clearance on the goal line. But I just feel that they could be that tough side to beat for Brighton, that they do struggle a bit against, and Forest can go and nick a close game, but nick a win. And so the fact that we're getting the tiny bit half stake push on it for me gives an opportunity. So looking at the XG on that game against Bournemouth, it weren't quite as one-sided as the scoreline suggests. They deserve to lose, but maybe not quite as heavily as that. So I'll be looking for a bounce back from Forest here, who are exceptionally strong at home this season.
So a little bit of a lean. Forest on the quarter ball handicap at +107. That's Forest Brighton. Let's move on to Everton Leicester. We've got Jack's hot dog here. Everton minus money favourites for the first time this season in the Premier League here, Jack. But they are coming into this off the back of a couple of wins. David Moyes, of course, now in charge, has turned them around to a certain extent. But they take on a Leicester side here, who, of course, won at Spurs last time out. I don't know really where to pitch this one. I don't really want to bet Everton at minus money. I know your hot dog's away from the money line, but give us your thoughts on the game and your pick.
Yeah, there's a common theme, I think, as you go through your notes and your research and that, and you go, well, the only outlier to that is when they played Tottenham or when they played Southampton.
Absolutely.
Those two sides come up very regularly. And both these sides have took advantage of Tottenham in recent weeks. Everton surprised everyone by scoring 3 goals against Spurs a couple of weeks ago. And, of course, Leicester with that shock away win, or was it a shock? Away win anyway at Spurs. So, for me, I've gone with a pro-Everton angle, but based on the fact that I've gone with the guy who's in form for him and their main goal threat. Dominic Calvert-Lewin's obviously picked up another injury 13 minutes into the last game. Ilian Ndiaye has basically took up the mantle from that, scored the penalty against Brighton. And I think he's a big price here to score. again, he's plus 340, and he is their goal threat. If Everton are going to win this game, as I say, they're minus money favourites to do so. And let's not forget, Leicester are a really poor side, and they concede lots of goals. Yes, they lost 7 on the spin prior to that win against Spurs. So do I think that they've suddenly rediscovered some form? I don't actually. I watched that game and they weren't great. Spurs were just really, really bad. And I think Everton, with that Goodison Park atmosphere behind them, with the feel-good factor of David Moyes being there, and with Ndiaye being their main man now up top, I just think he can get in on it. Looking very small sample size over the last 3 games, really, since Moyes has come in, there has been a spike in their attacking play. You look at the underlying numbers, and Everton are in the top half now. Let's say it's a very small sample size, but if they can kick on with that, and no better side to play against than Leicester have conceded the joint highest amount of goals away from home. 28 goals in 11 games, no clean sheet on the road. They've conceded multiple goals in 9 of those away games as well. This is a great opportunity for Everton to kick on against a relegation rival and put some distance between them. And if they are going to score, it's going to be Ndiaye. And that money, I think Calvert-Lewin's still the favourite in the market at the minute. So we're taking advantage of the fact that once the team news come out, I imagine that price will change.
Get involved plus 340 at the minute, Ilian Ndiaye to score at any time. Which seems a real value play. That is Jack's hot dog. Nigel, we betting Everton at minus. I can't bet Everton at minus money. What are we betting?
Well, I mean, I think this is the hardest one to actually find a bet. I like Jack's angle there. I put him in my fantasy team, so I hope he's all right this week. So we'll see how it goes.
How's your fantasy league team going?
Awful. Let's put it this way.
The week.
My fantasy team is doing better than... No, my tipping's doing better than my fantasy team. That shows you how bad it is. Anyway, Everton here against Leicester. I mean... I've looked through this match, trying to find some angles, trying to find when I think it's a real difficult match to call. As you say, could we bet Everton at minus 139? Not a chance. But Leicester, amount of goals they concede. I know they beat Tottenham, as Jack said there, but even at $4, I couldn't bet them at all. Everton have got some big games coming up, haven't they? They've got the FA Cup match. They've got Liverpool and a big Merseyside derby, the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, which is a big match. It's a huge match for them this season. So there may be a little bit thinking ahead to that. I think complacency could be the problem, but with a new manager and Moyes winning back-to-back matches, you can rule that to one side. I couldn't really... I know it's not an attractive price, minus 139, but I couldn't really get away from Everton on the money line. I think they'll probably win it 1-0, 2-0, but we know Leicester have got a good for a goal. But I couldn't find a real better way to get to it. But if you're going to play Everton at minus 139, perhaps put them in a weekend parlay and try to boost some prices up with Bet Rivers. But no getting away from Everton even at minus 139 for me. But I wouldn't bet them with your money, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for that. No, I couldn't touch it. I mean, I think Leicester might win for what it's worth.
I will bet them with your money then.
Oh, happy days.
Yeah, I will bet them with your money then.
Let's get to Bournemouth. I mean, I've seen nothing different from Everton at all. I looked at some of the stats. Nothing different.
Really? What, in that match against... What was the match? Not the Everton match, the match before against Tottenham. You never saw nothing different?
Nah, Spurs, isn't it? Everyone beats Spurs. I was just looking at some of the numbers and I just thought, you know what? I mean, Leicester at 4s, if they were a little bit bigger, there'd be a massive bet, wouldn't they, I think? But anyway, we'll see.
I think they're 7th for XG over the last 3 games, Dan. I know you like a bit of XG, but Everton.
No. That's massively different.
There's only 3
Dan.
games.
What figures have you been watching? Where have you been watching?
Listen, nobody is going to win money backing Everton at minus money on the short term or the long term.
Right, we'll just clip that up when Everton wins 3-0. That's one for the Christmas boosters.
Let's it's packed at the minute, that reel, don't worry about that. Bournemouth against Liverpool next up here. This is another 10 a.m. Saturday game. Bournemouth are plus 370, Liverpool are minus 150, being a little bit of money. We have got Nigel's 1-unit play, we've got Jack's 2-unit play on this one as well. This is a tricky one. I'll come to Nigel first with this one because, Liverpool minus money, Bournemouth, we've had sections of the season where we've had an unfashionable team that have been the darling of the punters, the betters, and Bournemouth have probably been it recently. They've beaten Arsenal, beaten City, beaten Forest at the minute, obviously another member of the top 4 at home. But you look at the price and you think, plus 370, is that just a little bit skinny? Or, given the fact that they've beaten those other 3 teams, is it a big price? I can't get my head around this one, Nigel. Give us your 1-U play.
I think you're also missing out their best performance of the season, going to Newcastle and winning 4-1. That was an incredible performance. I mean, their last two matches, 5-0 against Forest and 4-1 against Newcastle.
Yeah, incredible.
Their home record is exceptional. I have the worst record whenever I've gone with Bournemouth. So Liverpool fans will be very happy to hear what I'm going to say here, but Bournemouth fans will be absolutely in turmoil. But I think they keep the run going. They're unbeaten in 12. They're absolutely flying. They've got a system that is virtually they're very hard to beat. They work so hard for each other. They haven't really got many. So they've got a couple of very, very good players, but they haven't really got an out-and-out superstar like reliant on one particular player. But they're a proper team. And I've said for 2 or 3 weeks, I just think Liverpool give up a lot of chance, a lot of goals, and I don't necessarily think that Liverpool will get beaten here. But I think sometimes when you're so far in the league, going down the sort of the second half of the season, that you sometimes think to yourself, well, you know, a point is not a bad result here. As long as we don't lose, the pressure's got to be on the team chasing us down. And you do get times where people just, you know, play a little bit slightly different. Liverpool are on the back of a defeat in PSV. Obviously, the players who play in that have got no relevance of any of the players that are going to play in this. But they've got Everton again in the Merseyside derby. They have an FA Cup to go through. They've got a knockout stage of the Champions League. They've got a massive match against Newcastle in the league. Not Newcastle. Tottenham in the League Cup semi-final. So they've got matches coming fast and furious. And I just got a feeling here Bournemouth may get something from the match. So I'm going to go for Bournemouth in the tie on the double chance. It's plus 116. So I'm getting plus money. I just feel that Liverpool will be pretty happy if they can just avoid defeat here. Obviously, they're a heavy favourite and they'll go out to win it. But I just think that the way Bournemouth are playing, this is probably one of the toughest sides you want to face at the moment. And the way they dismantled Newcastle and their record at home, and last week they backed that up with a 5-0 demolition job of Nottingham Forest. Then I just got a feeling they may get something with this result. So I'm going for 1 unit on Bournemouth and the try on the double chance market at plus 116. The only way we lose is if Liverpool if they win. They are minus 150 to get to win the match, but I just think that Liverpool have been getting away with it, especially on road matches, giving up a lot of goals, a lot of chances. You know, they left it late against Brentford. They're not playing brilliant, but they're just getting away with results at the moment, and they could come a cropper. And I'm going to go for Bournemouth on the double chance at plus 116.
Yeah, Jack, I mean, Nigel mentioned rightly so, Liverpool heavily rotated and PSV price crashed through the floor as soon as that was announced in the news conference ahead of the Champions League game. I note, though, that the Liverpool price didn't really move that much, just a little bit. The fact that he left all the big hitters home, I just think that I'd want a little bit of a bigger price than Bournemouth. I think the shape of the game is going to look very much like the Newcastle one. I don't think the scoreline will look like it, but you know that Bournemouth like to hit on the break. What's your take on this one? Because you've got your 2-unit play here. So you've got 1 unit from Nigel on Bournemouth or the tie. Are you weighing in on money line or Asian line or elsewhere?
I'm looking at goals in this one. Yeah, Nigel's touched on it there, and I've kind of followed in with what he's been talking about as far as Liverpool giving up chances. Bournemouth on fire at the moment. This should be a really, really exciting game, and I was a little bit surprised that we could get the over 3 Asian total here at minus 129. So that's my 2-unit play. I felt it could have been a 3.25, even a 3.5 game, given how these sides play and their history. This looks like a really exciting game on paper, and I think it's going to deliver as well. The best thing about it, as you said, was the fact that Liverpool left their big hitters at home. So they're going to go into this one refreshed and revitalised, ready to go. Gakpo was the main one that obviously went out there. He got on the score sheet again. You've got 2 attacks here that are absolutely on fire at the moment. Of course, Salah and especially Gakpo for Liverpool. And this front 3 for Bournemouth at the moment is incredible. And you look at it a few weeks ago, they lost their 2 strikers, didn't they, in the same week? And you thought, oh, maybe this is the time to go against Bournemouth. And they've completely turned it around. They've been even better, even stronger, and suddenly scoring goals for fun. I say they were creating lots of chances earlier in the season, missing them. They lost their 2 strikers, and they're now taking so many chances, even overperforming what their expectation is. So they've all scored hat-tricks in recent weeks. You've got Semenyo, who we'd kind of pinpointed from the start of the season, who's been very consistent. You then had Cliver, who just seems in such a vein of confidence at the moment. He's shooting from all angles and scoring goals. And then Ouattara, again, with someone we pinpointed because he was being pushed into that central striker role a couple of weeks ago, and he's gone and bagged a hat-trick last week. So they've got everything going for them. I said loads and loads of goals across the season so far. 5 of their last 6 games have seen at least 4 goals, and a total of 25 goals in it. And Liverpool, after a tight start, say Nigel said, they are given more chances now, especially away from home. They have opened up more. Their league away average is 3.82 goals, so that comes way over what we're looking for here. The last 9 Premier League games have seen 41 goals at an average of 4.56. And this bet's cashed in 7 of them and only lost in 2. So it's a real good ratio as far as what we're looking at here. And the history in this game is absolutely packed full of goals. The last 15 meetings have seen 58 goals at an average of 3.87. This bet's cashed in 7 and pushed in 7 and lost only once in the last 15 meetings across all venues between the two sides. So I'm taking a continuation of a theme for 2 very informed sides. Over 3 Asian total, -129.
Great stuff. That's Bournemouth against Liverpool. Some heavy-hitting plays from the boys in that one on the South Coast. We've got a couple more 10 a.m. games just to rattle through. We've got leans from the boys in Ipswich, Southampton and Newcastle, Fulham. And Nigel, we'll start with Ipswich against Southampton. Ipswich are minus money favourites for the first time this season. They were plus 140 for this game in the Championship last term. Southampton have been nibbled at just a little bit. They're plus 290 here. What's the lean for Ipswich Saints?
Well, I mean, if you asked me if this pricing this up 3 weeks ago, I'd be making Ipswich as my 2U pick. But what we've seen in the last 3 matches maybe sort of curbed my enthusiasm about how good they potentially are. They've lost their last 3 matches. They've conceded 12 goals in that period. Southampton are the worst side in the Premier League, could be one of the worst sides ever. But it's a massive, massive match for both sides. You know, Southampton are gone even if they win this match. But if Ipswich win it, then they've got a great chance and hope to get themselves out. I said to you last week when Ipswich were playing Liverpool that they will be highlighting this match rather than the match against Liverpool to try to pick up crucial points. But the one thing I'll go back to the return fixture early at the start of the season, things could have been very, very different. Southampton dominated, absolutely dominated, and Ipswich left it to the 95th minute to get an equaliser in this match. So there is slight worry for me for Ipswich at -109. I think they're going to be a popular bet. You know, I think people will bet them because people expect them to do a little bit better.
Them and Everton, mugs double.
Well, sometimes mugs doubles cop though, don't they? That's the thing. You know, that's the problem about it. But you've got to look at Southampton's road record and see no wins, 2 draws and 10 defeats. Only 8 goals scored, and it highlights their problem they've got there. So you're going to have to be a very brave man or a very stupid man to bet Southampton at plus 290. It depends which way you want to play it in terms of the statistics. But also the same could be said for betting Ipswich. And sometimes in these kind of matches that people say, well, the draw it's no good for anybody. But sometimes when you've got 2 sides that just, it could happen. So I put it this way. I wouldn't bet Ipswich at -109. I wouldn't bet Southampton at plus 290. So where do I go? I'm going to have to go for a very small lean on the draw at plus 260. But I think Ipswich will be very heavily bet just because there is that sort of public perception that teams need to win and they're better than what we've seen from their 3 losses. But I think the actual results and the performance in those 3 losses was so poor, and the goals they conceded, 12 goals, was so unlike what we've seen from Ipswich that I think that's going to take a little bit of time to bounce back. And just because they are playing the Southampton side, and Southampton have been improving in the last couple of weeks as well, just on their performances. So I don't know. I think it's a very tricky one, but I'll go for the draw plus 260.
Draw, a not confident draw there, just a very, very minor lean. Lean from you, Jack?
Yeah, very tricky one as well. I agree. Under 2.5 goals is my lean at -107. 2 sides that are desperate for points. Well, I think Ipswich are desperate to win this. This is a massive game for them. We all agree Southampton are gone. But Juric is now 7 games into his time at Southampton. He's lost all 7. So he's going to want to try and not get himself in the record books by at least getting something from this game. I'm not sure he will. I think it might well be a narrow Ipswich win, but I won't be betting at the price. So unders, this was 3-2 last season, but 2 sides in completely different states of mind. They were gunning for promotion. They were riding the crest of a wave, full of momentum. Now nervous, tight, cagey. This is a proper relegation battle, and so I think they'll cancel each other out, and it'll be a low scorer. And wouldn't be surprised to see a tie, but under 2.5 goals for me. Player I did look at was Leif Davis for assists or to score or assist. It's not priced up at the moment, but if you can get plus 200 or plus 250 to just for an assist, then that would be an interesting one because Southampton are poor at set pieces. He's very advanced and he's on most of their free kicks and corners. So that would have been my angle. if it was priced up. But under 2.5 is my lean.
Okay, here's the third leg of the Mugs treble coming up. Newcastle minus money 152, Fulham plus 375. Can't trust Newcastle at minus 152 against Fulham. Those middle ranking teams are where Newcastle slip up. Nigel, 10 a.m. Eastern, rattle through this one for us.
Well, they slipped up against Bournemouth, didn't they? In that last performance there, bounced back with a win against Southampton. Fulham, always pretty good on their performances. They were awful. Like that Man United game that Sunday night was absolutely dreadful. It was like a pre-season friendly. There was nothing going on there. Fulham did win the reverse fixture 3-1. Listen, you know where I'm going here, don't you? You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know where we're going here. I mean, Newcastle are minus 152 on the money line. I agree with you, Dan. That is a too short a price, but they're probably the most likely to win it, and that's why they're minus 152. But then you look at the stats from the main man. Isak, 13 goals in the last 12 matches, 5 goals in his last 6 starts at St James's Park, and minus 108 to score at any time. So, not original. But people have been getting the money in recent weeks by betting the Swedish international to score. And I think at minus 108, that could be the bet.
Jack,
Yeah,
show us your working out countdown style.
Yeah, so, exactly right. There it is. So I've got all the same stats on there. But it's, Isak to score. I thought he's a great price.
Who has 2 dozen eggs on the shopping egg? Oh, Isak to score, anything to add stats-wise?
It's a Grecian 2000, that's it.
I tell you what.
That didn't say 2 dozen eggs. Grecian 2000, and a bit of that on there.
I'd long for Grecian 2000.
I was gonna go there, but it's just pure boot polish.
We just have that shampoo shoulders.
To have dandruff. So anyway, Isak to score. Simple as that. Yeah, bosh.
Minus money, just nearly evens for Isak to score again. 12:30 Saturday. Wolves against Aston Villa. Wolves 245 plus 245. Villa plus 106. We have got Nigel's hot dog here. John Duran, Nigel, we believe, is on his way to Saudi. There's sort of various sort of reports this morning. 77 million. To play in Saudi from Villa. Was he 20, 21? I mean, would you go to the Middle East for, X amount of million?
Where do I go? Send the tickets.
Where do I sign? You know what I'm asking the wrong person here.
Poor lad.
I mean, would you go? As from a footballing point of view?
One-way ticket.
Okay, well, Duran, I can see the appeal. Villa off the back of an easy win over Celtic in the end, but look, it probably took a little bit out of Villa. Maybe in the whole Champions League campaign might have done as well, and we know that they're not great off the back of Champions League fixtures. So, Nigel, hot dog time.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Duran, I mean, it's a strange move for a 20-year-old to go who's got a lot to prove, who can go to some of Europe.
I think it was a reflex decision.
Yeah, it was. But he's hungry like a wolf, so he's got to go out there for the money. But I think
I'm just glad he's leaving the league.
Yeah,
then we ain't got
say a prayer
rubbish
for him now.
puns
Save it to the morning after.
every single week. But an English band that none of our American viewers have ever heard.
They know
of.
Duran. They're one of the biggest fans. Everyone knows Duran. Anyway, I think that's.
Do you know what? I once sat next to Simon Le Bon and Jasmine Le Bon in the cinema in Barnes.
There you go. What were you watching?
I can't remember.
Girls on film.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
So it's a strange decision for him to go, and also the news that came out yesterday that Arsenal are interested in Ollie Watkins. I mean, that's another strange. That's another strange story big for him. I mean, that's a worry if I was a Villa fan that both of those are going to go, and it just seems that may be a sort of a problem for them heading into this match. I mean, the other problem for them is that the win in the Champions League. I mean, because of those Champions League nights at Villa Park have been so vocal and so the atmosphere has been electric, and that is exactly what happened in midweek. I know you said it was relatively comfortable in the end, but it wasn't at some stage. It was 2-2, and it was a raucous atmosphere. It was going crazy down there, and then you've got to look at what Villa have done after their Champions League matches. So they played 7 Champions League matches so far. This may be their 8th. But coming into the match after their Champions League matches, 3 draws and 4 losses. They haven't won a Champions League match after sorry, haven't won a Premier League match after a Champions League match, and some of the performance have been really, really poor. The match after the Bayern Munich win was a very, very below par performance from Aston Villa, and given their league state, where they currently are positioned in the league, I mean, what have they really got to play for in the Premier League? I think they've got very, very little, but they've got a Champions League last 16 clash, a glamour side to get the biggest competition and a huge, huge money. So Aston Villa's focus this season is on the Champions League and potentially a cup, and they've got a big FA Cup tie as well coming up as well. So for Wolves, it's all about the here and now. They've got to get something from this match, and I think it's an absolutely brilliant time to be facing Aston Villa. Not only because of the problems, the situations with people leaving the club, big names leaving the club, but with how much energy those same players have used in midweek again in the Champions League. So I think this is a great time. If you look at Wolves, their last 3 matches have all been defeats, but they played Newcastle away, Chelsea away, and Arsenal at home. So the fixture list has been unkind to them. There was signs of improvement. They've got a player in Kuna, as we've mentioned many, many times, who can change a match like this. And they've got a very decent record in recently against Aston Villa in this fixture. It's a local derby. The fans will be absolutely, the atmosphere will be electric. And every single one of those Wolves fans will be thinking, if we win this, we've got a great chance of giving ourselves a chance of staying in the Premier League. And I think it's an absolute brilliant time to play Aston Villa. And I think the hot dog here has got to be Wolves on the money line at plus 245. I would have gone bigger to you on Wolves on the draw no bet, not draw no bet, the double chance, but it's
double
minus
chance.
134. And I thought, well, I don't know. But out of all the picks I've given today, this actually is the one I feel really strong about. I just can't see Villa winning this. They're plus 106. I think they'll be big drifters. And I think Wolves will be bet on the Asian. And I think that plus 245 on the money line will come in. You know, the rules for the hot dog is you've got to be over 2-1. And I think this will probably be around about 2-1 come kickoff time. But currently now it's plus 245. And I just think the turmoil at Villa Park, players moving out, the massive match in midweek, and their record after Champions League gives Wolves a huge chance here. And at plus 245, Wolves on a hot dog this week to beat Villa.
Great stuff. Yeah, I love that. John Duran, we think, is going to go. Ollie Watkins, as Nigel pointed out, linked with Arsenal. So maybe Villa need a different striker to step up. Jack, you got a lean for us?
That was my way of thinking about this one. Yeah, we very nearly had 2 unit on that same hot dog, because that was the first thing I marked down this week was to go Wolves, and then I went away with it, obviously, with the Ndai bet. It's looking just a bigger price for me. But yeah, I've gone with Daniel Malen as far as goal scorer is concerned, plus 280. Assume that's the same price, but obviously with the news with the other strikers ahead of him in the betting going or being injured, as far as the Wolves ones are concerned, then we might well see that price change as well. So that was my lean. I think one of the Villa fans mentioned it in the YouTube comments last week, actually, because of his unavailability for the Champions League. It'd be a good option to have, and I think this probably has been earmarked as a potential start for him. Having only just joined the club a couple of weeks ago. So my main bet, though, actually where I put my money on, I will not put it forward because of the fact that not all states can back cards is cards. This has got an absolute history of cards in it. They don't like each other, these two sides. If you can get a line at 4.5, then play it. Andy Madley, the referee, is pretty much his exact average. There was 9 in the reverse. There was 7 in both games last season. I think it's a no-brainer. If you can get on it, that would be where I go. But yeah, my lean for the show is Daniel Malen to score at plus 280.
Manchester United versus Crystal Palace, Sunday, 9 a.m. here. United plus 110, Palace plus 275 here. Nigel, let's just get some quick leans on this one. United were minus money. Not got a particularly bad record minus money this season, winning 5 of 7, only Forest and Bournemouth preventing them from a clean sweep. We know what good seasons those two teams are having. Are we trusting United again at around about evens, or is Palace to play off the back of that Brentford defeat? Difficult one. What's your lean?
I thought that they may have been, Man United might have been in your mug treble this week. You know, if anyone's taking that kind of price. You know,
absolutely not.
You like Man United, do you? You think they've got a chance here?
I think they'll win, but I won't back them at that point.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not.
If they were like, well, you give me, I don't know, you give me plus 160.
No. Anyway, let's move on. Man United here. I mean, how can you bet Man United? Their home record, lost 4 of their last 5. Their performance at Old Trafford, abysmal. The manager's come out and he said, they don't feel as comfortable playing at Old Trafford. I know they went and won against Fulham last Sunday.
But what are the negatives, Nigel?
Well, you haven't got a striker. Hoyland's.
Don't sit on the fence with it.
He's absolutely. Hoyland doesn't look at anything at all to lead the line of Manchester United Football Club. They're in transition. They're going to be selling a load of players. They'll be bringing in new players at some stage for sure. The win against Fulham was a 1-0 win, but it was an awful match played in the most stupidest timing, 7:30 on a Sunday night, which meant the game was just played out in a terrible pace. And Crystal Palace, I know they were pretty poor last week against Brentford, but I did do a video and I made a very big case for under 2.5 goals. But the weather was awful that day, so you can probably forgive them a little bit for the conditions that they find themselves in. But on the road, they're very hard to beat. They've only lost 1 in the last 9. They're very well organised. They're very well drilled. They play 3 centre backs, as I said before, who are strong as anything. I know they conceded those 2 goals against Brentford, but one of them was a retaken penalty, which I don't think should have been retaken. I mean, it was that was a disaster from my under 2.5 goal play. But they were slightly unlucky there. And on the road, they're a different team. They're very hard to break, and what they do is they go to matches and try to frustrate. So I've looked at this, and I think the only way I'd want to play it is, we haven't had it yet, but it's the under 2.5 goals at plus 102. We haven't had an under 2.5 goals, which is strange for an appearance from me on this show. But at the plus money, Man United with hardly a striker that you can say is a goal threat, and Palace so organised, I'm going to go for the unders at plus money, plus 102, under 2.5 goals.
I tell you what, we've got a double lean coming your way, which sort of is almost an official play in my book, Jack.
Yeah, under 2.5 goals. Man United were let off the hook by Fulham, weren't they? That passive Fulham performance was so disappointing. Bearing in mind that I was supported Fulham, of course, with the bet last week. 4 shots United had in that game, and they just
That's all they needed.
Wow, yeah. With the old whatever he was to go to deflected goal from outside the box, have some of that. But I just feel that they're away in Bucharest, aren't they? After we recorded this, so Thursday night, Palace got a week to get that Brentford unlucky performance and result out of their system. Reverse was 0-0. 4 of the last 5 Palace games have gone under 2.5 goals. Kept away from home, kept a clean sheet in 4 of them as well. Strong away record, weak home record, under 2.5 goals to me. Yeah, nice price.
Double lean for us there. Same game parlay. Jack has designated the Brentford Tottenham game for the same game parlay this week. Brentford are plus 104, Tottenham plus 225. The draw plus 295, which surprised me a little bit just because of the price. Same game parlay, Jack. Talk us through how many elements have you got here? 1,
3,
2, 3. Yes, 3 elements to the same game parlay. We need one of these to hit soon.
Yeah,
That's
it might be. But are we sticking with it for the rest of the season, Nigel?
I had a phone call.
The boys on the Euro show want to bin it.
Generally had a phone call from Steve Wiss. Oh, help, Nigel. It's Steve here. I went, all right, Steve. Hey. He said, can we bin this same game parlay? I said, Steve, we can't do it halfway through the season, but I assure you we will be at the end of the season.
All right, okay. So it's sticking for another how many rounds we've still got to go.
So we're going to go out on a high.
Come on, listen. I think from now to the end of the season, the same game parlay in the Premier League. Don't know about the European show, but the Premier League, I think it will turn a profit.
Oh.
We can't. You two can't be as bad on the SGPs.
How much do you want to bet it?
£1.
How much?
£1.
My same game parlay is over 7.5 goals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Come on, SGP. We're running out of time here. We've got the big game still to talk about. Same game parlay, Jack.
Not quite so aggressive. Plus 420. I've gone for a Brentford win.
Yes.
Great win at Palace last weekend. So it was a tad fortunate, but as far as the women's concerned, and Spurs so bad against Leicester. We've already touched on that. A big game in Europe on Thursday night for them. Then they've got that EFL Cup semi-final to look at following week, which is huge for Ange Postecoglou. Loses that, I think that's probably him gone, isn't it? So yeah, I'm taking Brentford at a nice price plus money. And Bomo, their main man. So a bit fortunate to get that second bite of the cherry as far as the penalty last week's concerned, but that's 14 league goals for him now. That's joint fourth. Only Haaland, Salah and Isaac have scored more than him. 4 goals in his last 3 appearances versus Spurs as well. When we said he was on penalty duties, he scored in the reverse fixture at the start of the season. And finally, my favourite corners for Spurs, over 4.5 Spurs corners. 20 of their 23 Premier League games this season, they've hit this line. 8 of 11 away, took 9 in the reverse as well. And they've hit it in all 7 Premier League meetings against Brentford. So plus 420 is the play. Same game parlay.
Same game parlay. Brentford to win and Bumo to score. And over 4.5 total corners by Tottenham, plus 420. Any leans on this one, Nigel? I think Brentford to win is just a sound play at just over even.
Well, I would just say that, but they haven't won in 5 in the at home. You know,
I know, but they played better teams, haven't they? They beat the rubbish.
Well, Plymouth,
Spurs are rubbish.
Plymouth at home.
No, but earlier this season.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Earlier in the season, yeah, but their current form at the moment isn't that great. That's why I wouldn't bet them at plus 104. I also think that Tottenham, I know they're poor, I know they've got injury problems, but I just got a feeling they've got a performance in them. I don't know. They're just that sort of side that I think can just hit form and just beat someone. So at plus 104, I wouldn't bet them. I just think you've got to play the safe, and I think goals. I mean, it's over 3.5, but it's minus 117. 52 goals at the G-Tech this season. The last 2 seasons between these two sides was a Desmond 2-2 draw in this fixture, and I wouldn't be surprised to see another 2-2. So, yeah, goals for me, over 3.5, minus 117.
Big game of the weekend, Arsenal versus Manchester City, Sunday, 11:30 Eastern at the Emirates. Arsenal are plus 105 here, Manchester City plus 255, the draw plus 255 here. Arsenal, I mean, they could be, Nigel, on kickoff minus money against City for the first time for around about 15 years, if they're bet. I don't know what to do about City at the minute because I keep thinking they have a good result, not necessarily performance. You think surely going to kick on from here on in and getting through to the Champions League knockout stages playoff round off the back of a bit of a scare. You think surely there's going to be an upswing. But every time I think that, they throw in another poor performance. How are we taking sort of money line prices? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't bet Arsenal at even money, can you? I mean, that's the truth of it. You can't. It's too short a price for me. I just can't bet them. However negative about Manchester City, I'm not convinced about this Arsenal side either. I mean, I just that even money. I think they've both gone backwards from last year. I think Arsenal are a shadow of side. They don't have any goal scorers or any threats. But saying that, I do think there could be goals in this match. Every match that City goes to the pitch, they sort of go out there and they look like they're going to concede. That game against Bruges last night, they conceded 1. They could look like they could have conceded 2 or 3. Their defending is all over the place. They've shown their cards by making these signings. They've got in, so they expect to know the new signings to feature. It's going to take a bit of a time for them to gel, if they're going to gel. It's a big gamble, some of these players. But it was 2-2 earlier in the season as well. I've gone for goals here at minus 132. I just think that City going to the pitches, it's over 2.5, not 3 or 3.5, over 2.5. I just think when City go to take to the pitch now, and you can get a 2.5 goal line, whoever they're playing, you pretty much know they're going to concede, and you pretty much know that with the way that Foden's playing now and Foden's back to some form alongside Haaland, that they're going to get a goal chance as well. And I've just played the goals over 2.5 goals at minus 132. Probably a little bit short. Maybe go 2.75 on the Asian or toggle on the Bet Rivers website. But Arsenal at plus 105 just doesn't sit right with me. It just, plus 125. That might be all right. But plus 105 and the potential of them going even money or lower, minus money, I just don't see it. I just don't think that. I think the pressure gets to Arsenal in these matches, and I don't think they make it easy on themselves. So I think City will come here with a little bit of no pressure. They've got that Champions League win. They know they're in the knockout stage. They're going to have a big tie, potentially even Bayern Munich or Real Madrid, which is going to be an incredible tie. But I think that Arsenal here, there's something plus 105. They could win 3-0, but I wouldn't bet them. Plus 105. So safer option is goals over 2.5.
Over 2.5 in 7 of the last 11 in the league, incidentally. City winless in 3 against Arsenal in the top flight, Jack, after 12 straight wins against the Gunners. Nigel referenced those new signings. I think it's very odd that Pep's putting them straight in. So often we've seen Guardiola sign players, and you haven't seen them for months on end. But a couple made their debut, didn't they, in the game against Chelsea. One in particular looked all right, and he's the man that you're taking to get on the score sheet.
Yeah, it's no surprise which one of the two I'm going to pick, isn't it? Omar Mamouche is the guy I've gone for to score. I think it's a tough one to call as far as the result and the outcome of this one's concerned. If pushed, I'd probably go with a tie. I think they've probably both got so many weaknesses. Arsenal just seem to find a player that can have a decent performance on the day or a decent moment and snatch them a result at the moment. And they're different players. They're not all seemingly gelling together. They really are missing Saka a massive amount, obvious to say. But City, Omar Mamouche is a player that I've really liked over the course of the last couple of seasons. He's been a bit of a go-to out there as a bit of a blind play. Superb record over in the Bundesliga in Germany, where he's scored 15 goals before he's been snapped up by City. And I think he was very impressive against Chelsea. Chelsea let City off the hook a little bit. But going forward, at least at the moment, Man City do offer a threat. So that's the route I've taken down here. Yeah, I'd expect there to be a few goals in it. And Marmouche was unlucky with that one that was disallowed for offside. I think his direct running off the ball is a real strength for them. And he can get in between those weak areas for Arsenal and get on the score sheet at a decent price. Plus 330 is the lean in one which I think is difficult to call in most of the main markets.
I know, Nigel, just before we move on to the last game of the show, I mean, Arsenal are plus 450 here to win the Premier League. Are they still in the title race? I mean, Liverpool are minus 455. I mean, I know we've talked to Arsenal at various stages of the seasons and still sort of got with them. Is that done, do you think, now? They need to win, don't they?
This is a big week. This is a big week for Arsenal because Liverpool have two difficult matches, Bournemouth and Everton in the next two matches. It's a big period for them. So, but every time Liverpool look like dropping points, they just grind out a draw, and it's Arsenal that aren't doing the goods against the teams you expect them to win. So this is a big week, and if Liverpool get beat by Bournemouth or Liverpool drop points against Bournemouth, I would expect a big gamble on Arsenal to beat Manchester City. So, if Liverpool do struggle and you want to get with Arsenal, then that will be the time to bet to the Bet Rivers website and take the price on Arsenal. But I just think that even if you wouldn't, Arsenal haven't got the goals and the threat. Liverpool just don't look like scoring, and then they pop up and leaving it late, 90 minutes, 93rd minutes. They just look like a team that are just no, they can't be stopped. And then unfortunately, Arsenal just stuttering along. Even the match against Wolves, they got players sent off, and then they struggled. Nothing looks easy for Arsenal at the moment.
What do you make of that sending off? No, let's not go there. Let's move on to the last game of the show. Monday Night Football, Chelsea versus West Ham, 3 p.m. Monday. We got Jack's one unit play here. Chelsea minus 275. West Ham is 7-1 here. Chelsea off the back of that City loss. Graham Potter with a point to prove here. Maybe Jack. I think that I wouldn't want to bet Chelsea at heavy odds on here. What's your thoughts? One unit play.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an uncomfortable one, to be fair, to end with, but I've gone West Ham plus 1.5 handicap here at minus 127 for one unit play. I think Chelsea, again, they're another side that are just not quite at it at the moment. Cole Palmer looks to be carrying a bit of a knock, a bit of an ankle injury. He had that big moment when he went through, didn't he? And he seemed to be a little bit caught in two minds against City. That could have put them 2-0 up. And then was a little bit ineffective after that point of time. And as I've seen in the last couple of games, he struggled a little bit. And I do wonder, West Ham have got a few players that can be a little bit, let's say, professional. And I wonder if he might get targeted a little bit here, just to give him a little bit of a rough ride early doors and see if they can get away with one or two and put him out of the game. But I messaged a mate of mine that first 20 minutes West Ham against Villa, and I was saying how awful West Ham looks. So I couldn't imagine I was going to be in a position where I was putting them forward on a one unit play. But after that, I thought they were actually really impressive. Put some real decent passages of play together. I thought Paquetá was superb in that false nine. The only thing he didn't do was take his chances, and he had several of them. So that's their one issue as far as that's concerned. But I thought the defensive wide areas were very good. I thought Wan-Bissaka had one of the best games I've seen him play. And nullifying those wide areas against Chelsea is going to be a crucial part of this. So, look, not a great record recently. The last two games they've lost by an aggregate of 8-0. But prior to that, this bet would have cashed in the last 6, the meetings between these two sides. Because, of course, we can have a Chelsea win here by a goal and would still cash with the 1.5 play on West Ham. So they do concede a lot of chances. But if you're going to concede a lot of chances, concede them against Chelsea, who miss a lot. So I think this could be one of those sort of games where it's a bit of an edge of your seat ride. But say when you look over the course of the season, Chelsea's home form, they've only kept one clean sheet. So you've got a chance here of West Ham scoring a goal, a good strong chance of them scoring a goal. This is cashed in 8 of the last 9 as well for Chelsea games as far as Fadenham is concerned, and it's cashed in 7 of West Ham's 11 away games. So I think with those numbers, bearing in mind how bad West Ham have played this season, prior to Potter, who's had another week on the training pitch, and as you rightly say, this is a big game for him to go and put out a statement there, and the players seem to love him already. So I'm going to go with a positive West Ham angle, but with a +1.5 handicap.
Like that one. I just think Chelsea are massively false favourites. Wrap up the show for us here, Nigel. What's your thoughts on this London derby, Monday night, 3 p.m. Eastern?
Well, I just can't get the performance I saw from West Ham out a couple of weeks ago against Crystal Palace. I know they played a lot better last week, but Paquetá isn't a striker. Danny Ings is not fit enough, and the bench is very weak for West Ham. I mean, fully with Jared Bowen and all the key players there, I think they could go to Chelsea and cause problems. But without those players and without a goal threat, I think they're going to struggle against the Chelsea side that have got a great home record. They've only lost twice this season in 17 matches. I know some of those games were in the Conference League, which were pretty poor standard. But I think Chelsea will just about find a way to win this. And I'm going to go for Chelsea to win to 0, which is +150 with BetRivers. So Chelsea to win on the money line and West Ham under a half a goal, which would, that'll be a 1-0 win for Chelsea. We'll both be happy. But I just can't. Those attacking options that West Ham are missing and hitting Aston Villa at the right time before that crucial Celtic match may have helped them as well. So I'm looking more of what I saw firsthand 2 weeks ago than what they did last week against Aston Villa. So I'm going to go for Chelsea to win to 0. I know they have conceded a few at home this season. As Jack said, only 1 clean sheet at Stamford Bridge. But this West Ham side is powder puff up front for me. And I'm going to go for Chelsea to win to 0.
Oh, lovely.
Team news could be crucial there. It would do indeed, yeah. Team news is crucial. There was talk of Bowen and Somerville being back for the Villa game, and they were not taking a chance on them. So there is a chance they could be back for this one, but one to keep an eye on certainly.
I was at a table for lunch at that West Ham game, and I was with someone who knew Jared Bowen very, very well, and he told me he only just started walking the week before. So
that would make him a doubt.
That I think he might be a doubt.
Yeah. What's next? First words?
Sorry?
What's next? First words? If he's only just started.
Leave the gags to me, Roebuck. Leave the gags to me.
I'm wasted here. Nigel, Jack, thanks for your company. Good luck to one and all. Nigel, how long are you in France for? When are you back?
I'm going to the tennis today with Neil. We're going to the Montpellier tennis. You can follow us at Because We Win and Instagram, and I'm back tomorrow.
Well, excellent. That's a wrap for Betting Weekly Premier League show. We're back in a fortnight's time, of course, because there's FA Cup action next week, so you'll have to bear with us for that, but we will be back with more picks, plays, hot dogs, same game parlays for the remainder of the season. And don't forget, live show every midweek day, 11 a.m. Eastern. Follow us up Because We Win. Always good to get your comments in via YouTube as well. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're just stumbling across the show, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us some likes as well. From all of us for now, though, that is your goodbye.